Well, welcome everybody to the next episode of Voices of Courage. This is Ken D. Foster. I'm your host, of course. And today we have a very special show. There's a lot of chaos in the world right now. Lots of things are happening. We got, the recession is on the rise. We've got wars going on. We've got, riots here and there. We've got lots of stuff happening around the world. And are you getting caught up in that? Well, I do now and then, but I try not to, right? Because I've realized that the state of my mind determines the state of my wealth. And today, that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the courage to create unlimited wealth for you. Now, some of you are saying, oh, unlimited wealth. That's not going to happen for me. Well, how do you know? I can tell you this. If you have a mindset that it won't happen, you're a prophet. You are going to prophesize that in your own life. But if you are open and receptive and say, today, you know what? I'm going to suspend my judgments. I'm going to open my mind up today, and I'm going to see what Ken has to say. And I'm going to see if this might help me to take my life, my wealth blueprint and up-level it a little bit so that you have more wealth in your life. How cool is that? I have a really special guest today. She's been teaching people about wealth for decades. She's created a couple $1 million companies herself. And she's going to give you some of the principles that will allow you to start to generate wealth in greater ways. Listen, it's all about results, isn't it? If you are not getting the results that you want in your career or in your business or in your personal life, or in your health or fitness, it's about results. So, some people notice their results every day. Like me, I ask myself what's working, what's not working, and where can I improve every day? But others just kind of ignore it. Well, if you're ignoring it, guess what? There's something called pain on this planet. And pain is a great motivator. Eventually, the universe gives you a tap and gives you a bump and then hits you over the head. And all of a sudden you're in a health crisis or a financial crisis, or you're in a career crisis, relationship crisis. Why? Why did that have to happen? It didn't. It happened because you chose not to pay attention to the results you're getting. So if you're getting dismal results in whatever area it is, it's time to grow, to change, to develop, and to step in to the brilliance, the genius we call you. All right. We're going to be talking a lot more about this when I get back. I'm going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to introduce my guest. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Ken D. Foster, and I have my very special guest and friend, Susie Carder, on the show today. Susie, welcome to the show.
Ken, thanks for having me. So excited to be here, and as always, love playing with you.
Love playing with you too. And for those of you that don't know Susie, Susie started out as a low-paid hairdresser trying to support two little girls. But by working for others, it became a real challenge for her, to say the least. So she decided to do what it takes to start her own business. And as any of you know, that's no easy feat. But she's not only created now one $10 million company, she's created two. Pretty amazing for somebody that started out really with not a lot. So Susie, how did you do that?
Well, I always have a saying that your net worth is determined by your self-worth. And so I really had to focus on, I know it sounds corny, but my mindset around money. I grew up in poverty. That's all I knew was poverty. I just knew I didn't want that in my life. And so started to surround myself in this conversation of personal development, business development, learning what do I need to do to shift from poverty to prosperity. And that's been a lifelong journey, right? To look at, I don't have a business degree. Been doing this for 30 years. I've built 10 multimillion-dollar companies, as you said, 2 $10 million companies, and helped my clients build millions of dollars. And it started with my mindset. Started out looking at what were my beliefs that I inherited from my mother and my grandparents and my aunts and my uncles. Your environment, your culture really dictates a lot of what you believe. And we have the power to change that. I love that. There's a saying that 80% of your emotional programming is done by the time you're 8 years old. And if you look at statistically, we're all a bunch of 8-year-olds running around, running the world, right? And we can see some of that in our leadership in this country sometimes. And so the next...
I can see it there. This is mine. No, it's mine. No, this is mine. No, this is... Yeah, I see that in our leaders sometimes.
Well, I think that we, have a tendency to think that it's for somebody else, right? One of our taglines is, or my taglines is, wealth is your birthright, because it's not for some of us, it's for all of us. And I started studying early on, like, what made Ken successful? How did he get there? And I surrounded myself with these people that would just tell me what to do. And I'm a good student, so I just did it. Right?
Yeah. But what you just touched on something is one of the biggest challenges that people have is not being able to see outside their own paradigm. And that's a challenge. It's like, well, okay, I'm getting poor results in my life. My financial life isn't going the way I want, but you know what? I don't really know what to do because, it's like I've tried it. I've heard a lot of people come to me, I've been coaching 26 years, come to me. I've tried everything. I don't know what to do. What do you tell them when they come and do that?
Well, when I look at, we determine our destiny. Right. What I love growing up poor, my dad had a lot of wisdom, right? And he said, Sue, show me who your friends are. I'll tell you who you are. And so early on, when I would get in trouble, I looked at my community. I was a little troublemaker. I don't know if you can sense that about me, Ken, but
I knew that. That's probably why you and I connected, because we're both troublemakers as kids.
As an adult, I've apologized to my dad over and over and over again. Right. So I started looking at, let me find the people that I want to be friends with. Let me go see what is your community. It's time to change your people or change your people. And that might sound rough, but I can't be inspired just up here in my head. You've got to look outside yourself and go, what is my community? Am I walking, talking this conversation, not visiting it? Because we've all been to classes and we stick the book on the shelf, right? Or we don't do the homework or whatever that is. No, you've got to live this. And you've been living it for, decades as well.
Absolutely. You have to live it. You have to be it. But you know what? You got to start somewhere. So let's say somebody's listening to this right now, which a whole bunch of people are, and they're listening from a place of, okay, I don't have a lot of money in the bank. I don't have reserves. I've got debt, and now I want to reshape my relationship with money. What's their first step?
Well, my first step, because I was in the exact same space, right? I found myself as a single mom with 2 little girls with no alimony, no child support. My picker was off, Ken. I didn't know how to find a husband. And so my first coaches became books. And, I would go to the bookstore, find the book that I needed on my mindset, on business. And then I didn't even have the money to pay retail for that book, Ken. I would have to then drive to the used bookstore and go buy it for 50 cents or a quarter, right? So I just want to say that this hasn't always been this way, where I have the financial abundance and the prosperity. I had to work hard at it, right? His name is Givens, wrote this book, Wealth Without Risk. And he said, Charles Givens, you've got to put 10 units of energy in to get 1 unit of result. Well, most people quit when they put 10 units of energy in and only get 1 unit of result. But once you get that momentum going, you put 1 unit of energy in to get 10 units of result. That's where you are in your life. Like you're not starting from scratch, whether it's a sales conversation or launching a new product or launching a new brand, because you've got decades of experience. So one, I want you to start with your mindset and go get a really great book on mindset. There's so many of them. You've got to find a mentor, a coach that resonates with you.
I know 2 of them. Let me put those on the screens. Okay. The first one I'd recommend is Power Your Profits by Susie Carder, my guest. And the second one I would recommend is my book. It's called The Courage to Change Everything, Daily Strategies and Essential Wisdom to Awaken Your Inner Genius. Both of those books are great places to start if you want to change up your money thinking.
Right. And actually do the exercises, right? Don't just read a book. It's got to become in your DNA. I had to change my DNA, all those conversations growing up of negativity and lack, and there's no money, don't ask. Like, think about all those generational conversations we have about money. and go, well, what did I inherit and what did I choose? I realized I didn't choose any of them. I was living my parents' reality of there was not enough money, there isn't any. And I had to shift that conversation to go, that wealth is your birthright. There's abundance all around me. Even when, Ken, there was no abundance, even when I was trying to figure out how to pay my rent, even when I had bills, but I would get clear. That's that whole law of attraction of creating it and not visiting it, but doing the work, right? You know, I ran Lisa Nichols' company for 10 years and it took her from 80,000 to 10 million. And it was funny because she wrote her book, Abundance Now. And people would call the office, Ken, and go, I'm reading her book. And she says, think about prosperity and money. And I keep going in the mailbox, there's no money. I'm like, what are you doing? You got to do something. Yeah. You can't just think about it.
Well,
you got to put
that's by the way, I think that's where courage comes in, because I think that's that courageous piece that people miss, right? Yeah. So listen, I got to take a quick break. When we come back, let's just talk about the courage piece, right? Because I know you're a very courageous person. You live your life that way. So we'll talk about how that even interacts into what with this conversation we're saying. Okay, we'll be right back.
UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio, the station that makes you feel good.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I want to thank you for joining us today. The show I've titled The Courage to Know That Wealth is Your Birthright. And it does take that courage piece to step into that, Susie. I'd like to get your take on that. And how can people do that?
Well, there's an interesting, Barbara DeAngelis says this quote, that fear leads you to believe that where you are right now is a safe place and going forward is a risk. But the truth is, you're always at risk when you're standing still, risk of stagnating, but more importantly, risk of missing out on your own destiny. So I think courage comes in the play of facing your fear and doing it anyways. Looking at what am I afraid of and why am I afraid, right? I am a natural introvert and I'm a trained extrovert. I didn't like talking to strangers. You grew up with, don't talk to strangers. And so I had to train myself to go and I had to give myself scripts when I go to networking events so that I wouldn't get scared and I could actually talk to strangers. I still don't love it, right? But it is a skill set. I've built that muscle and now I can go into any room, any conversation. I just put my persona on so that I can truly be inside this fear that was running me. The fear of if I stayed home, and I see this with my clients all the time, they don't want to get out from behind their computer. Well, you have to, right? You've got to go to networking events still, right? Even if it's virtual networking, you've got to go belly to belly, face to face, network, put yourself out there, right? Promise bold promises. What's your business? And all that comes from your core values. We're not taught core values. I was never taught core values. I'm not going to say we. I was never taught core values. I was never giving that guiding principle. I was never taught anything about money. So when I look at courage, I look at it starts with my core values. Like, what am I passionate about, right? Integrity, communication, passion, love. Those are my core values. And everything stems from that. Am I being loved right now? Am I being integrity right now? Am I communicating my upsets? Those are the things that shape an individual. And then to be able to teach my children that and my students that has made a world of difference inside of my life and my business.
I love it. Yeah. Well, part of what we're talking about here is having an abundant mindset, having the right mindset, but an abundant mindset as opposed to a scarcity mindset. So I know you talk a lot about there's a lot of wealth all around us if you just look.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get, your take on that, because you've got some principles around that I think the audience would really benefit from.
Absolutely. So the first thing we have to do is create what is your philosophy around wealth, right? Mine is wealth is your birthright. I have a money mantra that I live inside of. I have a prayer that I say every single day. Ken, if a bill comes in, or if somebody pays me and it's I'm prosperous now, all that I have, all that I love, blesses and multiplies. When I was broke as a joke, I would just say that prayer as I'm driving my car, as I'm paying my taxes, as I'm paying a bill, right? Blessing what's coming in and blessing what's going out. Now that might sound hokey, but I had to reprogram my brain from lack to possibility. And if you're not reprogramming your brain, you go to default and it's somebody else's mantra. It's somebody else's conversation. So we've got to look at what am I thinking about? Because what you think about, you talk about. What you talk about, you bring about, consciously and unconsciously. So I'm very conscious of what's going in. I'm very conscious of who I'm hanging out with. I'm very conscious of what I say. Not that I don't make mistakes, and I'm not saying I'm perfect all the time, but I'm aware. I'm aware of, oh, look at my negativity is coming in. Oh, turn the news off. I don't want to hear the news, see the news, right? That's just sucking me into a black hole. Not that I don't want to be aware. I want to see what's happening in the world, but I don't want to watch it 7/24.
Well, what you're talking about, there's an energy, there's a feeling we have, right? When we're empowered, we feel empowered, right? If I were to ask the audience right now, listen, what are the three things you can do today to feel empowered, right? You'd know that instantly. But if you step into that energy, that vibration, then all of a sudden you start to attract people, places, and things because you're resonating at a higher level. That's what I'm hearing you say to Susie.
Yeah. And you have to identify, what do you want, right? I identified, what did I want specifically? What did I want for my children? What did I want for my business? What did I want in my bank account? What did I want in my life? What did I want in my relationships? I got very granular. Like I have something called a life book, and every area in my life, I have a values, I have a mission, I have a vision, I have a mantra for my faith, for my family, for my business, for my relationships, for my intellect, my education, my physical being, right? So what do you want? And then what's the why? Why do you want it, right? You can't just make $1 million. Why do you want to make $1 million, right? Because money doesn't solve things. Money gives you more options. Money gives you choices, but money can bring you more problems if you don't know how to manage it appropriately. So
making money is a lot of fun. I mean, it's a blast to make money. Don't we love to make money? It's fun, and it's not all about the money. Because I know for me, my money journey has been about evolution. It's about evolving Ken. It's about stepping in and being courageous and doing things I've never done before. It's about meeting people that I thought had a lot more intellect than me. And I come to find out they have a lot more or a lot less, and it doesn't matter, right? But it's stepping outside your boundaries as we grow our businesses.
Well, it's also looking at what's the purpose of it, right? All money is an exchange of time and energy. I also had to get rid of my limitations around it. Am I good enough? Do I deserve it? Right? I was really good at making it, but I wasn't so good at keeping it, right? It went through my fingers as fast as I could make it. That was a mindset. Right. That was the money burns a hole in your pocket. I didn't know I had that, but I'm like, why can't I keep money? I'm making a lot of money and I don't have anything in my savings. Like that was the reality check.
So what's the reserve? What's the mindset shift you had to go to start creating reserves in your life? Right.
One, I had to notice why I was spending what I was spending. So I was traveling a lot when my kids were little. And so I missed a lot, right? I didn't have a lot of free time. I had 2 businesses, I had the training development company, and I had a salon and spa. We were the top salon and spa in the country, or the top 1% in the nation, top 10% in the world. And when I realized I was filling this void, this is really bad, but I'm just going to be vulnerable. I was filling this void in airport shopping because I couldn't experience life. Like I'm like, oh my God, this is fun. I'm going to buy me this thing because I just did this good job. I was looking to reward myself. And I found that buying things was that instant gratification. And then I realized I started putting a budget together, and I was working with my husband at the time. He's my husband now. And we would sit down. He's like, okay, we said we want to spend $1,000 and put that in our retirement account, but you spent $1,000 on the American Express. What do you want to do? Do you want to keep spending that money, or do you want to put it in the retirement account? Because you said you want to put it in the retirement account. And he wasn't making me wrong. Please hear that. It was not making me wrong. It was just that insight of, we said this, we did this, right? He was a saver, I was a spender, right? And so I'm like, oh, well, I do want to put $1,000 in my retirement account, but I do want to spend $1,000 on my American Express. So how can I do both? So, right? He's like, well, we got to make more. I'm like, well, then we can make more.
Yeah, but you make more and then you spend more, right? Unless you shift the mindset.
The discipline of looking at it every single month, right? Looking at it and being conscious. Yeah. The reason I have American Express and I've only used American Express is because I got in trouble with money when I was young. I got in trouble with debt. American Express back in the day, you don't have to now, you had to pay it off regardless. And so whenever I put that card down, I would think, can I pay this $1,000? Can I pay this $200, whatever the number is? Can I pay it off this month? If I can't, I'm not going to buy it. And that helps me with the discipline of being conscious before I swipe, right? Part of what we have to do is become conscious of whether it's eating or drinking or spending. We all have our thing that we do. Mine was spending to fill a void that I had inside of me. So first I had to manage my money and go and be conscious. Second, I had to go, what is this void inside of me? Why am I think I have to have things to fill? Yeah. Right? That was a whole personal development journey, right?
I get it. All right. Well, listen, I got to take a break, but when I come back, you just touched on something. Whether you're working on money issues, your relationship issues, career issues, health issues, Susie just said it. You got to become conscious around it. So I wanna let's tap into that conscious piece, Susie, and what it really means to become conscious around money. And we can apply this to different areas, but let's start with money. We'll be right back.
I've written a new book. It's called The Courage to Change Everything: Daily Strategies and Wisdom to Unlock Your Genius, your soul, and to transform your life. So it's daily strategies. I wrote this specifically because over the years I've noticed in my own life and in the lives of my clients that, listen, a little inspiration doesn't get it. A little wisdom doesn't get it. A little action doesn't get it. It's daily, dripping on the mind, dripping on those actions, taking specific focused actions towards your dreams and setting specific goals, right? Goals help us to transform the little self into the possibilities that we have in each of us. All of us are given dreams, and if you're sitting there and you're not manifesting that dream, it's just a little bit of you is chipping away every day that's not happening until you finally wake up and say, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to connect with something greater than myself, my force, my God, my life, my universe, whatever. I don't care what you call it. You tune into that force, and that's what's going to get you to the next level.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We're talking about you and your life and about money and how you can shift your life and have more wealth in all areas of your life. Susie, before I get to you, I just want to give a quick shout out to a couple of my networks that have been so supportive over the years to me. One is BBS Network, Doug and Dawn there. I want to give you a shout out. Also, AM/FM 247, Emma Dowd. I want to give you a shout out. And also Johan at UK Health Radio and Triangle Magazine. I want to thank you guys for all you do. Pizzazz TV is a new distributor for us. So all you and Pizzazz, it's great to welcome you to the Voice of Courage community. It's a powerful community. And by the way, if you'd like to find out about all of our events online, you can go to voicesofcourage.us and sign up to be one of our inside members. You'll get some special gifts. Some of our guests give away free tickets to some of their events, which are really cool, and some books and all kinds of fun stuff. So I hope you'll check it out. All right. Susie Carder. Susie Carder is a mindset master is what I want to say. She's also a business leader. She's helped tens of thousands of individuals to shift their thinking around money, step into entrepreneurship, and develop businesses that are very successful. So, Susie, let's talk about what I was sharing before the break, okay? That place, that consciousness piece.
Yeah, so it's so funny. I was just kind of flipping through my book when you said that right before the break, and on page 175 in Power Your Profits, there's taking a stand for money. I had to take a stand for my prosperity and money. There's a saying, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. What are you standing for? I wasn't standing for wealth. I was standing for abundance because the money was coming in, but wealth is about accumulation. Wealth is about building on what you're doing. My businesses were really a high paid job because I couldn't monetize, scale it, and grow it. I had to really make a stand to go, how do I take money from my business, invest in my wealth strategy? So there's many things happening simultaneously as you're building wealth, right? One is my mindset. Two is how much do I want to build, and why I love math now. I didn't love math early on. I always say math is money, money is fun. That's chapter 8 in the book of Power Your Profits, right? And the reason I love math is because it's a formula. Math will show me exactly where I'm leaving money on the table. It'll show me exactly how many clients I need to see, how many leads I need to get. It'll show me what my closing percentage is. So it all works out to a formula. I spent years resisting it, sticking my head in the sand, going, just tell me how much I need to make. Well, money is a magnet. Right? So I want to pull that money to you and to me because there's enough to go around. There's enough to go around. There's enough for Ken. There's enough for Susie. There's enough for you. There's money everywhere. So let's put that inside of your thinking of there's money all around me. And whenever I get in that dark place, I just get back to the basics to go, there is money all around me. Where am I leaving money on the table? And for me, I don't ever sell. I'm always in service. I serve my client the way my client needs to be served. I'm an amazing listener, right? And so if you hate sales and you hate having this conversation, right, go to chapter 6 because I give you my $100,000 script that I use to close $100,000. I just closed, Ken, before this call, a $25,000 contract for 4 hours, right? So I want you to look at, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. That's what I want for you. I want you to look at myself and go, wow, Susie did it. I didn't come from this. I'm self-taught. I'm a student of the world. I look at business and look at this conversation and go, how do I monetize this, scale it, grow it, build it? And then how do I give back, right? I believe that my gift from God, Ken, is my life. And what I do with my life is my gift back to God.
Yeah. Well, I've learned this. If you want to make more money, be of service to more people. It's that simple, right? It's that simple and yet that difficult because now we have to decide how we're going to be of greater service to more people. Does that mean to develop a new product, a new service? Does that mean to help customers in a different way? What does that all mean to the individual? So, Susie, I want, and on this show, it's my intention to always have people step into their courage and master their destiny. All right. So what's your tip on that? What's your tip? How do we master our destiny? Right. That's kind of a big deal, but I think you've been sharing it, weaving it all through, but what are the 3 steps to mastering your destiny from Susie Carder?
Well, one, you have to get in a quiet mind space. Right? There's so much noise happening in your own head. And I have ADD, which is even more noise inside my head, but I've learned to use it as my superpower versus any kind of disability. And you have to get quiet to go, what was I put here to do? Now, I remember the first time, I'm going to say God, you guys can say whatever. God gave me the answer and he said, you're going to go teach people, go speak. I'm like, I don't know how to speak. I'm like, what do you mean I'm going to go teach people? Right. And that became this opening into this whole thing called speaking. I had to have the courage to go, okay, I'm going to use this platform speaking. What does that even mean? And so I had to listen. Then once I started speaking, I started working with Paul Mitchell and doing these little free cluster classes. And again, had to get quiet. Like, I love doing this, but I can't spend time doing this if I'm not making money for my family because I'm the breadwinner. And so God said, create a product, create a program. Again, I didn't know how to do that, right? I had to find the Kens in the world. I had to find experts that knew how to do that or who were already doing it, right? I had to learn by trial and error. But when you get quiet, you'll hear the conversation, right? You can call it your intuition. I'm going to call mine God. But sometimes we listen to that, Ken, and we're like, what is that annoying voice? Go away, go away, go away. And that goes back to the fear that you talked about, right? Because on the other side of courage is fear. And so listening to that inner wisdom and write it down, no matter how silly it sounds. Write it down. Don't type it out. Write it down. If something happens when you connect your pencil or your pen to a piece of paper, you connect with it. It aligns with you. I can go back and look at all my journals through the years and see, wow, God gave me that answer. And some of it, I didn't do it because I was scared or I didn't know how. But then I look at the things I have done. I took a company public. I didn't know how to do that, right? But I was, again, in my prayer time, God said, go raise money. Go take your company public. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm going to figure out how to do that.
I love it.
And what's great about
Go ahead.
What's great about where we are in the world today is everything is Googleable, right? We can Google anything, right? Where in my younger days, I had to go research and find it. And, you got to do more research than you do now. So everything is at our little fingertips.
Yeah. Yeah. If we're willing to do the work. I've wondered myself, is there a bottom to fear? Is fear a bottomless pit? Can we keep having more and more and more fears? Or is there an actual bottom there? We finally bottom out and go, I'm not going to be fearful anymore. I'm going to step into something else. Don't answer that because I got to take a break and I want to hear your question. I want to hear what you say on that. We got to get right back.
The station that makes you feel good. UK Health Radio. The station that makes you feel good.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I'm talking with Susie Carder, who's a master business strategist and a coach and a leader of individuals that really want to develop more wealth in their life and money and wealth. We distinguished that a little earlier if you listened to us. Susie, that question, is fear a bottomless pit, or can we actually bottom out and pop back up and not have fears in our life?
Oh, Ken, I don't know, right? When I think about when I'm fearful, fear is a flag of the unknown, and then I'm going in the right direction. That's how I look at fear now. I didn't always look at it that way. When I was younger, I looked at it and ran away, right? And then I ended up always having to go back to it. So now I look at it as a flag. I'm not scared of it like I used to be scared of it. But I also look at the only way to get through fear is to do it. Right? So it's building a muscle, building a skill set, because people just want to magically not be afraid. Well, the only way to get through fear is to do it. Now, I don't put myself in fearful situations. I don't go to haunted houses. I don't go on roller coasters. I don't like those things. That's a different kind of fear, right? So that I have the wisdom to know I don't like that. That's not fun for me, right? It's too stressful. But when I look at business stuff, or I look at I'm afraid to have a conversation, or I'm afraid to ask or have a sales call, right? I remember doing work with Paul Sharnsky. It's such a memorable lesson for me. I was a young businesswoman having to call Paul, called him up, and I'm like, talking about doing some sales training for him. And Paul scared me. He was a New Yorker, right? I was from California. So New Yorker scared me. And it took me all day to have this phone call. And then I did the phone call, hung up the phone, and I felt, I'm so relieved. And so I learned that the only way to get through fear is to do what you're afraid of and do it first thing in the morning. Don't wait till the end of the day. I suffered all day long before I talked to Paul. So look at fear as a flag of growth, a flag of the unknown. Now, not danger fear, because fear is good. Fear is that thing that causes us to slam on the brakes or drive slower or don't go on roller coasters or haunted houses, whatever you're afraid of, right? But those things that you want, right? That's when there's something there like a natural desire, but it's a skill set you've got to build. And the bigger you play, the bigger the breakdown. So you're never not going to have breakdown. I think in business, we're trying to have it be all steady Eddie. Well, business is like this. Life is like this. It's up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, right? That's like the heartbeat of life. The minute your heartbeat is flat, you're dead. And so business, life, relationships is up, down, nothing's steady, right? The world's not steady. How do I create this harmoniousness in myself inside a chaotic environment, right? Which business can be chaotic, right?
Well, that's the key to successful business, is being in a state of mind, a peaceful state of mind, and making decisions from that place of calm. Because I don't know about you, I've made decisions out of desperation or upset or anger, and I can almost guarantee you every one of those is a poor choice.
Yes, exactly. But you learned. See, I think sometimes we live in regret.
Yeah.
We live in regret. I shouldn't have done that. Well, what did you learn? I remember in 2009 when the market crashed, I crashed, right? And when I say I crashed, I was heavily invested in real estate, heavily invested in the stock market. And I lost what felt like overnight. It was probably about a 3-year time, right? Inside of the 2007, 2009 market crash. I lost about 10 million in assets. And I remember being on the ground crying, Ken, going, why? I've been a good steward. I don't have 20 years to rebuild. Like, what did I do wrong? And what kept coming into my spirit was, what's the lesson? What's the lesson? Right? Versus making myself wrong, feeling like a loser. And God said to me, I heard a voice, I'm going to say it's God. And it said, get up, go tell the people. I don't want to tell people. They're going to think I'm an idiot. I just lost $10 million in assets. Yeah. Right. And I got up and I'm like, let me just put my head down. What did I learn? What did I learn? What did I learn? And what I realized I learned, Ken, is I already knew the system of money. It didn't take me 20 years to rebuild because I knew what to do. Right. I was too heavily leveraged in real estate. I put all my money there. I didn't have enough reserve for the age that I was. Right. I was still investing like I was in my 20s and I was in my 40s. Right. So I'm like, oh, okay. And the minute I got back on my feet, I invested in real estate again because I've made millions in real estate. So it didn't keep me down. It knocked me on my ass, Ken. I'm not going to lie. I wanted to give up. I wanted to hide. And the reality was I learned a ton from it.
Yeah. Well, I had become a millionaire during that time. Right. And but, when that thing crashed, I found myself a millionaire in debt. I was $3 million in debt. Now, it took me about 2 years. And part of that debt, there's a lot of, I owed everybody everything, And I think I had, like 80, 100,000 just credit card debt alone. But within 2 years, I turned that around and we were debt free and back moving.
Think about that. $3 million turned it around in 2 years. That's because now you knew the system.
I knew this. By the way, I didn't bankrupt. I had done that earlier in my life, and I said I'd never do that again. So I knew the system. I knew what to do. But that's why we have experts. That's why we have Susie Carder or Ken Foster out here, because if you're listening right now, and this isn't all about Susie or Ken, this is about realized wisdom. Realized wisdom. If you're going to find a teacher out there like Susie, and I'm going to recommend her book because it's phenomenal. You find somebody that's already gone through the storms, not the people that are reading books about the storms. You find who went through the storm and came on the other side, and they're on their feet, and they're better than they were in the beginning. So, yeah. Right. So let's talk about your book real quick. Your book. Yeah. Let me put it up on screen because I want. Well, there you go. Yeah. Let me take me off.
And I'll peekaboo. Power Your Profit. So published by Simon & Schuster. And so it's everything that I did to build a $10 million company, right? From bootstrapping to raising money, to taking a company public, to hiring a team, to my marketing campaigns. It's the blueprint of building a 7 to 8 figure business. Now, you don't have to read it chronologically. You can, if you suck at math, go right to chapter 8, Math is Money, Money is Fun. Right. And I'll give you the infrastructure for your finances. If you need to put your business plan together, we'll start with chapter 2 because it's all about your business. If you need to work on your mindset, chapter 1 is all about creating that money mindset that you can attract millions into your life. It's the blueprint of building a 7-figure business. There's exercises in it because I want you to write in the book. I want you to use the book as a template. Again, you can't fake this stuff. This is just hard knocks of what I've had to learn the hard way to build a business. It's all that stuff I wish somebody would have told me when I was building a business, right? The behind the scenes. I share my breakdowns and my breakthroughs. And what I want to say,
where can they get the book, Susie?
So you can get the book on our website at Susie Carder, C-A-R-D as in dinero and dollar ER.com. And when you buy it from us on the website, right, you get a bunch of bonuses. You can buy it on Amazon. You can buy it anywhere where retailers sell books, but you want to go there because I give you a bunch of freebies to come with that. And want you to take advantage so you can start building the life of your dreams.
Let me ask you something. What are the benefits of those freebies that you give them? Like, why do they need freebies?
Well, in the book, I give you a lot of templates and spreadsheets. And so on the website, you'll get those downloadable, right? So there's about $400 worth of free education when you buy the book for $20. So I definitely want you to take advantage of that.
Okay, great. So go to www.susiecarder, C-A-R-D as in dinero or dollar, E-R, C-A-R-D-E-R.com. Okay, so that's where to get it. Susie, final thoughts here. I want to ask you, you got the microphone to the world. We're syndicated in 185 countries right now. So what's your message to the world around the subject we're talking about here?
I want you to know and believe that wealth is your birthright. It's not for some of us. It's for all of us. Join the club. It's the 1% club. Only 1.7% of businesses hit the $1 million mark. Come join us. Come play. Come live your destiny.
I love that. And so they can also go to your website there and find out a lot more about you too, and some of your classes and things that you're offering out there. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. Our social is my name, Susie Carder. We got a YouTube channel. Come check us out. See if we're the right company for you. If not, there's a bunch of freebies, and we've got our partners on there as well. So come play with us. You know, if I'm not the right person for you, we'll find someone that is right for you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me, Susie. And I'm going to say thank you for all of you for being here with us today. You know, Voices of Courage is an amazing show. It's a show that if you tune in on a consistent basis, you will be inspired, you will get wisdom, you will get understanding, you'll take your business and your life to completely new levels. I am bringing the best of the best, the most experienced thought leaders, business leaders, coaches, mentors, authors, speakers, trainers in the world for you. So your job is, of course, to help pass the word, because if you want to uplift all of us in this society, we all have to support one another. So I encourage you to pass this show on to some of your family or friends, and also go to voicesofcourage.us to get all of our replays. You can tell Siri, Cortana, Alexa, play Voices of Courage podcast, and it'll come right up. And here's the deal. I know this. You know, I've been coaching for 26 years. By the way, for some of you, if you want to you're resonating with me, you want to find out more about me, just go to kendfoster.com, and you can actually get a 30-minute complimentary session with me if you'd like. If you've got something that you're going, Ken, I heard you on the show. This is what I need to work on. Just go ahead. Go there. I'd love to talk with you. So the key is that when you're ready and committed, you know, the people, the places, and the things will start showing up for you. Why is that? Because with commitment comes providence. Everything shows up for you, but you got to commit, and you got to step into your courage to do it. I pray that you will continue to do that and drip on your mind thoughts of wisdom, understanding, courage, love, prosperity, abundance on a continual basis. Till next time, continue to see the unseeable and know the unknowable, and do the impossible. All righty. Take care.